Well, that was a religious experience. Oh, God. YouTube, if you can hear me, Google, if you could hear me, I don't know what you did setting up this new YouTube studio system, but it's horrible, okay? Hi, everybody. I'm meteorologist Joe Chaffee. Welcome to tonight's YouTube show. And clearly, it's already been a comedy of errors for me. I'm just going to tell you right off the bat two things. Tonight's show, we're going to keep it short because it's been a long day and I'm exhausted. Second of all, tomorrow morning's Coffee with Chaffee show at 10 a.m., which we have been doing now for the last 5 weeks or so. Unfortunately, I have a conflict that has come up. So I have to reschedule, and I'm not 100% sure when I will do it. So depends on how long it takes me to take care of what I got to take care of tomorrow morning. So if I don't get back in time, we'll do it tomorrow evening at the regular time. But if I get back early, I may try and go up, say if it was before noon time. So we'll see what happens. So let's get going. We have a storm, a major storm moving across the plains in Midwest and about to head to the East Coast. So let's figure out what's going to happen. I know a lot of folks have been kind of frustrated with the comedy of errors that represent the weather models through all of this. It's been a religious experience seeing back and forth, up and down, and trust me, it's been no picnic. Farva, thank you for hitting Super Chat tonight, and Cassandra Claycomb, thank you for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really, really appreciate it. Okay, so let's get started because I've got the new NAM. I've got the SREF up too. We'll take a look at that. I really think at this point we're kind of set in how this is going to play, and that is as follows. First off, the heaviest snows are going to be just inland north and west of the coast. I also think that as far as the coastal areas are concerned, probably not going to see too much from this first shot, at least from Long Island south and west. And that's because of the fact that we're just going to be a shade too warm. And things are happening with this low in terms of where the primary is and where the secondary is. Secondary, thinking back days ago, which had it down, some of them down in Chesapeake Bay or just east of the Virginia coast. And it really is looking like it's going to be right off the New Jersey coast. It's a little bit too close. So that just shifts everything a handful of miles inland, but it makes a huge difference. Certainly for places up the Hudson Valley, you go north of Route 84 and in northeastern Pennsylvania on up through upstate New York. Albany looks like they're going to be in a bit of a jackpot zone here. Weather Service going for 20 plus in that area. The middle and upper Hudson Valley look to do very well. And then up along I-90 to about Syracuse, and then the amounts start to tail off as you go west of there. And also in interior central New England, looking like there'll be every bit of up to a foot or so. And just a few close-up, we'll get a little closer here so you can look at some numbers of the bigger towns. Boston forecast to get 6, Worcester at 12, Springfield 11, Hartford 6. The numbers up in northern Litchfield County will be up close to a foot. Right down along the coast of Bridgeport, for example, about 2 or 3 inches. Now, here's where it gets tricky with some of these numbers, and that is there is going to be probably some backside to this on Monday. Where that backside sets up, I don't know. We've seen models go back and forth as far south as taking it to the Delmarva Peninsula, and some of them in certain runs. The snow never really even makes it far enough south to change over in New York City and along the coast. This is a kind of thing when you're dealing with an upper low like this, where you're really not going to know until probably not until Monday morning, because a lot of what's going to be happening during the day, Monday and into Monday night on the backside, is going to have a bit of a convective look to it. And I think you're seeing models handling that rather difficultly, given that you have this wrapped up upper low and there'll be some energy that's rotating around it. So it's got to line up almost perfectly. but sometimes it does, and whoever gets underneath those upper lows winds up getting a surprise. So I'm just going to kind of hold on to that idea and just wait until Monday, because I think we're going to have another day of models doing a few different things with the back end. Now, as we look to Sunday in Pennsylvania, in southern Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania, there will be some icing issues, and in some places, the icing is going to be rather significant. We'll bring up the ice accumulations, and we're looking at about a quarter to maybe as much as a third or even a half an inch possible in an area in west central PA. The southern part of PA, so from around Altoona up to just west of State College, right in there. The amount of glazing that's going to occur further east is much lower, generally 5/100ths or less, but you're also seeing up to a tenth as you move into northeast Pennsylvania, northwest New Jersey, and into the Hudson Valley. We are going to see a changeover move up into the lower Hudson Valley, at least later in the day tomorrow into tomorrow evening. So that's why you're seeing some of that glaze that is showing up. And then, of course, is the struggle to see it change on back over during Sunday night and Monday from north to south in the Hudson Valley. And then maybe during the day Monday and into Monday evening, that changeover line drops down into at least northern New Jersey and Long Island. Maybe it gets a little bit further south than that, maybe not. But that's where you're seeing those amounts that are being forecast for the coastal areas. It's not going to be from whatever comes through tomorrow, because I think we're going to see those temperatures warm up just as the precip arrives. Pretty impressive looking on the satellite tonight. You've got that rotation, the upper low moving out of Nebraska and into Iowa. The surface low is not that far behind, and you're seeing rain. We're certainly seeing cloud cover, high cloud cover moving northeastward. Still having a bit of a tough time clouding up this evening during the evening hours, and that's actually helping temperatures drop down a bit, but eventually we're going to see the clouds definitely take over. The surface map, there's some holes in here. I'm not sure why it is that we're not picking up that the Weather Service Weather and Hazards Data Viewer is not picking up all the winter storm watches and warnings and the advisories that are up. So there are gaps in here. I'll bring up another graphic so that you can see it better. In fact, just to prevent any kind of confusion, let me take those warnings off. We'll just take those off and leave the obs on. And just the one thing I have noted, I've got the temperature dew points here, and the area is pretty dry. We've got dew points mostly in the low and mid-teens, and temperatures in the upper 20s and lower 30s. So that helps the cause as far as snow is concerned. And you head up north, it is quite cold. Northwest New Jersey, mid to upper 20s, low to mid 20s in northeast Pennsylvania, low to mid 20s in the Hudson Valley. And you head up further north into upstate New York, you're looking at low and middle teens in some places. So there is some very cold air here that's settled in upstate New York and New England. And way up, you get further up into upstate New York, north of Glens Falls. You're seeing single-digit readings at some of these weather observing posts. They don't give a town name here. I don't know who Loon Muller. I don't know if that's an actual town or is it a person. Van Hovenberg, Mount Van Hovenberg is at 10 above zero. And we are at 12 at, I'm not sure what that exactly is. Independence River is 13. So the bottom line is it's pretty cold upstate New York and New England. And that's, that some of that cold air is trying to bleed down. Here's a surface map tonight. You've got a 988 low in eastern Nebraska, all wrapped up and occluded. And it's going to kind of wobble its way to the east into southern Wisconsin, maybe just past near Chicago, gradually weaken, and that's going to force a secondary to develop. Again, it looks like it's probably going to be either along the Delaware or southern New Jersey coast. So one of the things we're going to look for is during the day tomorrow is pressure falling rapidly in this particular area. And your cold high is kind of bananaed around the low here. Some of the higher pressures building down into New York State. And of course, you still see where it's been pretty much all day long. The blocking low sitting near Newfoundland and the strong, the tight pressure gradient that goes back to about eastern Long Island now. We were a little bit on the breezy side today, but now the winds have dropped off, helping to, with clear skies and light winds, getting a little bit of radiational cooling. So we are setting the table to a certain extent. Now, the radar loop tonight, we're even seeing some severe weather, by the way, down in parts of Mississippi and Louisiana. I think I saw. I just want to take a look at this because I think I did see earlier some. Yeah, I thought so. It was a tornado watch up in parts of small parts of eastern Louisiana and across Mississippi, inside an area of marginal to slight risk for severe weather. So it's pretty interesting again in the second time in a week that we've had severe weather risks, and here we are, just about to December the 1st. The models today, just trying to, I want to take a look at a couple of things first. First off, let's look at the new NAM and take you through how this is all setting up for tomorrow. So we actually are seeing the precip come in a little bit slower. The block is probably a little stronger, the high holding in just a little bit longer. So at 4 a.m., except for southwest PA, where you're getting a little bit of mixed precip, and down in Virginia, where you're seeing rain, there isn't much here yet. So we'll move it up to 7 a.m., and now you're starting to see an expanding area of freezing rain. But it's still west of Harrisburg. It's not even anywhere close to Philadelphia, New York City, fine. And you know, it may take a while for things to cloud up tonight. So that's something to watch for as far as temperatures are concerned. But tomorrow morning at daybreak, we won't be seeing anything going on. By 10 a.m., we start to see the rain advancing rapidly. Now, if you believe the NAM, it actually may start off as a little bit of sleet, a quick burst of sleet, and then to rain in Philadelphia. It's north and west of Philadelphia that we're seeing sleet and freezing rain, and then you start to see a little bit of snow. We're at noon now, where the precip is at the door of New York City. I think this could be just a little bit colder, and that you will see a burst of snow and sleet before it goes over to rain in New York City and on Long Island, and maybe back to about Trenton and Philadelphia for a brief time. I don't think it amounts to much. You see where it's already sleet north and west of the Turnpike, and now we are at 1 p.m. where, at least on the NAM, it's got sleet from Route 78 north, and snow now breaking out in the Hudson Valley and into Connecticut. And this is where you start to see it get widespread. Your primary low has dropped into eastern Ohio. And if you look where the isobars are here, I'm just going to try to trace out one isobar. It's even hard for me to see, but there is one. This isobar here, I think it goes like this. If I'm seeing it correctly, it's a little hard to see. But there's your low. But right in here, it almost looks like a shoe. And at the front of the shoe, where your toes would be, that's where your secondary low is likely to start, somewhere in there. And then it's going to pop up off the area where you see the greatest pressure falls, probably where you see this what looks like heavier rain, maybe a little bit of convection here. So you'll get some hefty pressure falls off the New Jersey coast. So the low will probably wind up trying to go in that area. So we'll move it along into tomorrow evening. This is at 7 o'clock. You can see where the sleet, ice, rain line is probably along Route 80 in New Jersey, and maybe north of Route 287, but not quite to Route 84, and let's say 15 in Connecticut. So from there, north and west on the NAM, it's either sleet or freezing rain. And then you have to probably go up to about, the outside of Dutchess County. It looks like it would change the sleet all the way up to the Connecticut-Massachusetts line. This is at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. and it even gets up to about I-90. Now, at this point, the secondary, we're at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. The secondary has taken over. So now you're going to start to see the northerly winds begin to take over as well. And this precip here is going to wind up starting to change back to snow as we move through the overnight. And you see what happens is that colder air and the secondary low completely takes over. You begin to see a change over to snow. Now, the issue for Monday is the backside. And I'm going to go back one run. I'm going to go back one model cycle run here. So hang on. Let me just get rid of this. We'll go back to the 18Z run because this was a run today. It's been seems like it's every other run has been doing this. The 18Z run dragged the snow shield down pretty far south into New Jersey and Delaware and Maryland, and actually produced a fair amount of snow here for Monday night into early Tuesday morning. In areas that didn't get it the first time around, they get it the second time around. But this is the result of the upper low that is moving probably from about southern Virginia and heading toward Cape Cod. And the area north and west of that upper low, if you've got a sharp trough that's swinging around it, then you could wind up seeing an enhancement of snow. And the models are struggling with this greatly. And I think we're probably not going to know until Monday how it sets up. Anytime you see these upper low situations, they never set up the way the models say they're going to set up. So I think we're going to wind up seeing a surprise somewhere. I just don't necessarily know where. But it played out quite well on the 18Z run here, and then the low moves away. And this would produce probably several to 6 additional inches in some places on top of whatever's going to fall during the day on Sunday night and during the day on Monday. And of course, for the coast, some areas could wind up with at least a few inches depending on the track of the upper low. The problem is that because of the nature of all this, the nighttime run is a little less bullish with the look as far as the backside goes. And you see it here. And it kind of starts to get going. This is at 7 a.m. on Monday. Fairly decent looking snow shield across upstate New York, moving into northern New Jersey. But it takes almost all day and into Monday night. This is not until 10 o'clock Monday night that you start to see snow in New Jersey down to about the Turnpike. Still raining on Long Island before it changes over. You get some snow during the overnight for about a few hours, and then by 7 a.m. Tuesday, it's gone. So on this run, the model handled it a bit differently, and it really has to do, again, it all boils down to the track of the upper low, which you see here. The upper low is coming out of the plains, moves to near south of Chicago into Indiana, and then drops down into West Virginia and Virginia, and sitting right over Chesapeake Bay Monday afternoon. And from here, it kind of makes a pivot and then moves on to the northeast. So it's usually, when the upper low goes to the south and you've got easterly winds at 18,000 feet, it's quite possible you get a little shortwave to rotate around, say, hang on. If your shortwave now is rotated around in here, it just kind of sharpens up. So you get an area of snow that breaks out on the northwest side. It's a very, very difficult thing to try to time and forecast. So other than to say that the chance is there right now, that's probably the best you're going to be able to do with respect to all this. I did look. We don't get to use them too often, but we do tend to at least look at them during snow events. And this is the SREF from Stony Brook, and the model comes out every 6 hours. You just find your spot on the map, and I'm going to just pick Islip as an example, and I have it sets 21Z total snow. It gives the mean is 1.93 inches, and I usually, instead of looking at the absolute numbers, I try to look for the trend in the SREF. Is it going up? Is it going down? And from the last run, it actually is going up a little bit. So Let's see what that means tomorrow when we check it. I mean, it gives Philadelphia all of an inch under an inch and a half, and we run up north to Albany, and in Albany we got to bring the scale up. In Albany, it gives 17, over 17 inches, and that's up from 13 on the prior run. Binghamton gets just about 9, so that's a little higher. Poughkeepsie, 7. Let's go to Hartford. It gives 4.5. Boston, if it will load. All right, let's see. I can't get it to load for Boston, so. Oh, here we go, finally. Boston, 6.82. And just west of Worcester. Oh, Worcester. Whoa. Load. That's being stubborn. But you get the idea, okay? You can see where the big amounts are going to be out of this. Across Massachusetts, northern Connecticut, and along I-90 back to back to Albany, and in the Hudson Valley. The Weather Service, hang on. Here it is on the full watches and warnings map. We still got blizzard warnings, by the way, going on back through the Dakotas and in northwest Nebraska and in southeastern parts of Wyoming. And it looks like one county in Minnesota, probably in and around Duluth, where we've got a blizzard warning there. Winter storm warnings up for much of that state, the northern half of Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan, and you see it playing out in the northeast. Those are ice storm warnings that are up in that purple area. It's for, I think, 4 counties in Pennsylvania and 1 in West Virginia. And we still got storminess in the west, winter storm warnings up in the Sierra Nevadas and in northwest California, and also in southeastern parts of Oregon. And you see the purple out of the coastal waters. So we're looking at storm warnings in that particular area. So I'm just going to come to the chat board real quick because, as I said, it's been sort of a long day today, and I'm a little bit tired. But there's no real new developments tonight, nor do I think you're going to really see any see any developments. And welcome, by the way, to everybody who might be here for the first time. I hope you get an opportunity to subscribe to my YouTube channel because we do it live. We attempt to live stream every day. Some days we are not successful. I do occasionally take a day off. And we usually have a Sunday morning show at 10 a.m., Coffee with Chaffee, that you can watch the weather and have a nice cup of coffee or your breakfast while you're doing it. Scott Brower, thanks for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. But don't go broke doing it, please. Okay? So do places need to close early Monday, Jason Kaplan, or is this more of a Monday night event? I don't know. Why would places even need to close at all? If it's not going to be a foot of snow, why would you close? I'm just asking. Have we gotten to the point now that, there's an inch or two of snow on the ground and people can't function? I just find this astounding, if you ask me. But no, this is, at least because Jason, you're more down in central Jersey than you are, and you're closer to the coast anyway. Yeah, this is nothing what you see, and this is what always gets lost. We've been emphasizing, and I know somebody is going to really hit, is going to rub me the wrong way with this, with a comment. Not here, but on Facebook or on some other platform. This is a 2-day system. So in areas around New York City and points south and east, along the immediate coast, you're not going to see much of anything tomorrow morning, I don't think. And people are going to say, you are hearing these numbers. They're not hearing the part that says this is a 2-part event, okay? And that for the coast, it's going to be for later Monday or Monday night. Guarantee you that there's going to be somebody, at least 1 or 2 people, that are going to make some wise remark on my Facebook page. Of course, I immediately, I ban them and block them. But if I'm friends with that person on Facebook, I usually wait to do that on their birthdays. It's far more fun if you're going to ban and block somebody to do it on on their birthdays. Timothy Veltman, you should do well with this. This is your storm up in the Hudson Valley north of Albany. Peter Bicker, the precip looks like it wants to break up and turn much lighter by the time it makes it down into South Jersey. Yeah, what's being shown. I would just again emphasize the fact that we're dealing with an upper low here. It's almost like you're dealing with a summertime thunderstorm system, and you get model runs. Each run handles the thunderstorms a different way. One run there's a solid line. Next run is a broken line. One run it might be scattered. Then it goes back to the solid line. So I would just kind of wait until Monday morning itself to see what's being shown. That might be a wiser approach. I think the possibility is there given the track of the upper low, but we're just going to have to wait till Monday to see what transpires here. I just want to really quick, because somebody did mention the HRRR before, and I don't know there was anything. I took a quick look at it, and I didn't really see anything special about it. But why don't we? I could bring it up full screen. Usually at the point where we're doing, in the evolution of these storms and in the work I do forecast wise, I'm getting now to the point where I really want this to go away. So I'm pretty tired. But here's the HRRR model. I went back to the 0Z run because that goes out 36 hours, and here's your. And look at this in terms of the snow, the sleet and freezing rain, and it's not especially impressive. It does seem to break out a larger area of snow in northern New Jersey and northeastern Pennsylvania by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And then, the coast, immediate coast, I'm covering for a burst, and that's it. And we move into tomorrow night. There's your low right off the New Jersey coast. And this is as far as it goes, which is 4 a.m. Monday morning. So actually, after that first shot goes by, late tomorrow evening, into the first part of tomorrow night, you can see the precip end for a while in some areas as the system pivots northward. And then, like as I said, you're going to see it come back around. The biggest issue here is in terms of where the surface low is. If it had wound up down in here, for example, and then was moving out to the northeast from this position, this would be a wholesale snowstorm in this area, more than likely, because the low would have been far enough south so that the colder high to the north, or at least more of that colder air, would have been able to bleed further south. The track itself would have been further south, but as it turns out, the secondary, which earlier this week, it was all looking like the secondary was going to form down in this area, or at least start out somewhere in North Carolina and then make its way to the northeast, maybe toward 40 and 70. I remember one particular run actually took the low down southeast to the latitude of Southern Virginia and then took it out to the east-northeast from there, which was an odd run. And we just seem to wind up now, in spite of the fact that we have this big blocking low at 50 north and 50 west. In spite of the blocking, you're still going to wind up taking a low that's maybe a little bit too far to the north for coastal areas. So this is another example of you can have all the indicators and the things you want in the right place, the negative North Atlantic oscillation or the blocky signature, the 50-50 low, and maybe half a dozen other things that I could probably mention. You could have all those things. Still going to wind up taking a low. Sorry about that. At the end of the day, if the trough is not in the exact right position, if it's a little bit too far east or too far west, you're going to take a low to an entirely different location. All right, we're coming up on 10:30, folks. It's bedtime for me. As I said, it's been a long day. So thanks for being here tonight on this on this live stream. Again, if you are here late, the Joe Chaffee Show on Sunday morning, the Coffee with Chaffee Show, is going to be rescheduled for later in the day, as I have a conflict that has developed. So don't worry, I'll be out on at some point tomorrow. And other than that, we're done. So thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.